Okay. See? Perfect. Gorgeous. Okay, so Pisces. Alright, so your current situation with your love life, the underlying energy being anyway, the Ten of Pentacles, security, support, and stability. Alright. So this is all about this, the family. This is about your legacy. This is about, the commitment and that you have within your relationships. Okay, you have the Three of Wands underneath here though. So it's been a long time coming. I feel like you've been waiting and expecting it, and now it's either finally here, or you're still working with, now you're having to work that whatever the return was into the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, but the situation, the current energy is about the Ten of Pentacles. Your current state of being is the Four of Swords. So you guys are taking a break, taking a little bit of it, time out, looking at your situation, really reevaluating stuff, looking within yourself right now. But most importantly, you're taking a pause, you're healing, you're not really making any moves at this moment, which is totally not bad. Totally not bad. What you guys want though is you guys want some harmony, some balance, okay? Some calm energy, things that are trying to chill out. Take it easy. Okay, temperance is also divine timing. So you guys want you want to be in a period where waiting feels good. Okay, because I feel like temperance makes waiting feel good sometimes. Because everything's balanced, everything's harmonious. It does require you to do some sort of balancing and everything, right? Moderation in all things, right? And that moderation in all things does help you manifest whatever your dreams are. It does help you manifest what you're trying to manifest, right? Whatever it is that you want. Now, the thing that's keeping you from the temperance energy is because of this Ace of Swords. I don't think, right now, I feel like there's a bit of truth that needs to come out, because the Ace of Swords talks about truth, talks about clarity in a situation. There may not be, right? And it's in the opposite position. So there may not be a lot of clarity at this moment. There may not be a new perspective. And that's potentially why you guys are in a position where you guys are taking a step back and look at yourself, right? Look at what's going on. Reevaluate. Because the Four of Swords, it's a very reevaluating energy. You're like, let me just pump the brakes a little fast. I need to take some time out for myself. Give myself a little TLC, meditate on something. Because that's what the Four of Swords is all about. Meditation. Really looking and reflecting on your situation and in yourself. Because you just dealt with the Three of Swords, which is old pain and old issues. And I feel like this new perspective isn't here potentially because of the Five of Swords. Perhaps there were some things that came down that was done, sabotaging energy. But most importantly, I feel like there was a lot of ruthless behavior potentially. Somebody was doing a lot of something that they probably, they needed to be thinking twice about, because it could have made, because it ended up causing them to lose a lot of stuff. Will make them lose a lot, okay? Maybe there's some sort of defeat, or there was even a victory here, right? Okay? Because you always lose something with the Five of Swords. I've always said that. You always lose something with the Five of Swords because you end up sacrificing something in any direction that you take, right? Whether it be compromising something with somebody, or just standing your ground and going after what it is that you want. No compromising, no negotiations, just having your way, and that's it. So maybe there was some sort of empty victory from the past here, where there was some sort of back and forth, some petty arguments or whatever, and that was won, but it left some things. Obviously there were some things that were lost in the process, some things that didn't feel too good after doing so, and that's probably why that new perspective has necessarily kicked in. And I feel like it's a lot to do with this pause energy. There's a lot of holding back. It's a lot of stepping back and looking at the situation like, oh, okay, I don't know about this. I mean, I don't know what has just happened. Let me just regather myself. Let me regather my thoughts. There's a lot of confusion that happened with this. That's why the moon's coming up. You're just gonna have to go with the flow, Pisces. This is your card here too, guys. So like it, love it a lot. The thing here is, with this moon being your advice, it's saying that you're gonna just have to trust your intuition. All right, you're just gonna have to trust, trust that you'll be able to get through this weird time, especially when this is when you're having to go through the Four of Swords right now, when you're going through it, healing and everything. Yeah, it may feel like you're out of control and all that stuff, but the thing is that the moon hypes up delusions, hypes up illusions. It's the most misconstrued, period of time ever, because you don't see what's going on, you don't see it, and it's not your fault. It's just how the moon doesn't illuminate a lot of things, right? It's not your fault that you're going through and you're like confused and you're seeing things, you're like, oh my god, it's not actually that bad. It's the moon in there and its inability to really illuminate illuminate a situation, illuminate what's around you. Let me just grab a quick drink of water. Throat got really dry there. Whoa, talking a lot, y'all. Okay, so it's not your fault that the situation's like this. But what it's saying, like, the advice is you're gonna have to just trust yourself, trust your intuition, and let yourself kind of be guided through the situation. After the dust settles, yeah, it's kind of weird and kind of awkward how things are gonna be for a little bit. But the new perspective is going to be gained by what about what you've understood about your circumstance, about your situation. But it's about trusting your intuition, though. From the most part, being in the moment, trusting yourself. Now, in your feelings, you have the Chariot. Okay, the Chariot's Cancer card too, so it's very interesting. The moon, which technically is ruled by the moon rules Cancer technically, even though it's your card Pisces. The moon does belong to Cancer, and then you have a card that is Cancer rules. So I don't know if you're dealing with a Cancer right now, but what I do see here is that the Chariot is coming up as in your feelings. Like, you guys are feeling like you guys are somewhat in control of your situation, at least in your emotions. You feel like there is a balance that's there potentially. Like, you do feel like you guys are putting in a lot of effort and using your emotion, using your how you feel to your advantage, which is a great thing. Most importantly, you feel like you have this under control. You have your heart and your desires under control. So it could have been that you were dealing with somebody else that was dealing with that was ruthless, that was a little bit over the top with how they were. So that's why, like, I'm thinking you probably were dealing with somebody that was just a little bit too much, and it was just dealing with too much. And I feel like that is the clarity that you need here, but at the same time, it can be very confusing because how they do handle their situation, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Well, just be you, right? Because honestly, that's why the moon is coming up. You don't know what this person's motives are, but you have to just stand within your integrity, and the moon is going to push you to do that. It's going to say, hey, what are your truths? What are your beliefs? What are your boundaries? The moon is going to be testing you on that. And that's going to strengthen yours in the get-go, in the forefront. You're reevaluating them now. Well, it's time to really reevaluate them for yourself, so that any situation like this happens again, you know how to deal with it. The Ace of Swords, just cut them down. But you're in control of your emotions, which is a pretty good thing. It's really good, Pisces. Very hard for you, especially considering that the Pisces energies can be very difficult to master, right? Your hopes and fears, though, you do have the Page of Pentacles, so you do want something that's definitely of value to you, something that's obviously something that is worth your time and energy, something that that offers security, support, and stability. You want something like that. You want somebody to come up to you and say, hey, let's go ahead and build a future together. 10 of Pentacles. Right? But then at the same time, it's going to require you to look at the details, right? There's something like you always want to look closely, because the moon, remember, the moon obscures everything. It's like it misconstrues and jacks everything up. So with the Page of Pentacles coming in, I really feel like this is just, I understand this, right? You want to be able to head in a direction where there is more stability, there is more security here. It's something that's actually more tangible, a relationship that can build to something like a legacy, for instance. Something that you can truly commit to. Because right now, you can't commit with this energy of being in the moon, right? You kind of just have to feel it out. Just kind of have to go with the flow. And with the the Five of Swords, whoever was being crazy, yeah, it's going to need a second look at. It's going to need a second time to, needs a closer look at anyway. Everything's very clear and blunt here with the Five of Swords. And it's just all about where you apply this information. Okay? So, your outcome is coming up to be justice. So, balancing of the scales. Okay? Balancing of the scales, things being corrected. Could be an apology, right? If somebody was being really harsh and really brutal. They didn't have to be, though. And I feel like that's what's coming up. I feel like somebody may have been a little bit too much on you, been a little bit too hard on you. And it's like, you didn't need to do that. You could have just told me straight up what you need to do. But this is all about putting up boundaries based off of how people talk to you, how people treat you, and how people are, you know, what you are willing to let people get away with. Because the Five of Swords is, yes, it's brutal energy, okay, and it's ruthless energy. Somebody's is going to do anything that they can to get what they want, and they will stomp on anybody to get it. And that's what the kind of energies that are coming up here with this Five of Swords. And I don't like it, especially with the moon. I don't like it. It's kind of contrived a little bit, but at the end of the day, though, the clarity is through the truth. Taking people at face value. You have to take it as face value. You have to see what's been happening for what's been happening, especially when you're in a phase right now when things are really uncertain and you're not sure. You know, you have all the control in the world here with the Chariot and your feelings. Utilize that right now, because right now somebody's dealing with you. Whoever you're dealing with is not very. They're aggressive. They're hella aggressive. And I don't know if this is an apology from them or this is you just right in the wrong. It's just forgiving them and forgetting. Calling them a day. Because this situation right here, right? You want more harmony. You want more balance. You want a good flow. You want to have a good flow. And that's so understandable, Pisces. You're a fish, right? You want to have a good flow. But then you have somebody here that always is sabotaging, or somebody that's always aggressive. It can be very difficult to have a flow when you don't have proper boundaries. And that's why the moon's here. Going with the flow, creating the boundaries that you need to create. So that way with this, because this Ace of Swords, it's clarity, it's truth. It's nothing really ever bad about this card. Right? And I feel like it just may be misunderstanding with this card being in this position, but most importantly, it's the saying, it's like there isn't a utilization of this truth, this clarity from a situation that was brutal from the get-go. I feel like this moon is saying that you're confused, but you have the clarity here. You've seen what happened. You know what they did, and you know what you didn't like about it. That's why you're healing right now. You're healing. You're not feeling good, but you're healing it, right? You have what you need to make whatever boundaries you can make to protect yourself. It's just time to put you're in a very vulnerable space. With this vulnerability within this space that you have here that's under, with the Chariot, utilize that Chariot energy to build yourself boundaries so that this person, whoever it is, that's very brutal on how they handle their delivery or what have you, they know how to handle it. They know how to behave. They know how to talk to you, because if they're not talking to you in a very healthy way, if they're not doing something in a very healthy way, or in a way that you feel is going to get you anywhere fast, anywhere that's going to get you anywhere, to the Ten of Pentacles, well, it's going to require you to have some boundaries, right? Just for your protection, Pisces. Just for your protection. Let's go ahead and see what's going on with your romance angels cards for this week, though. Okay, so you guys have forgiving and learning. Wow. Exactly. It's exactly what's happening right now. It's hard to do, but trust me, it's so beneficial. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moment. That is the absolute 100% truth. The truth. Okay, the truth. And that's what's going to happen, Pisces. Whatever happened in the past, whatever you feel like just wasn't good, you got to forgive it, right? You're ending it, you're going to have to forgive it, but you learn something from it. You learn something from it. You always learn, whatever, even if it's brutal, even if it's the worst thing in the world, or even if it's the best thing you've ever had in your life, you're still learning. And you can use that to the best of your ability. Not to manipulate people, but to protect yourself from any sort of situations that could come up like that again. Right? Time to put up new walls. Not walls in the sense of, keeping people out, coming up with the Four of Pentacles, but boundaries that truly protect you and push you to grow. Now, y'all have Yang here, okay? So it's time to start doing something. Alright, this is a very action-oriented card, and considering that everything that's happened in the past, you having a time of rest, retreating and looking back is always good to really figure out what you need to put up, right? What boundaries you need to put up. The moon is talking about going out there and going with the flow. It's deciphering. It's honestly just putting up, going through a time of vulnerability. Yeah, it's intense change and everything like that. But the thing here is that you are going to be building boundaries with this moon. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna also pull an extra card for that moon energy. Because moon energy is very interesting. You don't really do. You can't. There's not much you can do because everything's kind of misconstrued anyway. So it's interesting that you have Yang for that. Let's see what the moon comes up. Why is the moon coming up for their advice? Why is the moon coming up for their advice? Why is the moon coming up for their advice? Why is the moon coming up for their advice? Why is the moon coming up for their advice? Why is the moon coming up for their advice? Temperance, balance, harmony, flow, balancing the unknown. Wow, very interesting. It's interesting that you have these two cards coming up. Two major arcanas clarifying each other. Okay. The moon is about confusion, it's about uncertainty, and then temperance is about balance, harmony, and moderation in all things. To handling yourself, handling your own situation, and making sure that you are good where you are, and that's pretty much it, right? Making sure that you're set and you're balanced, all right? And I feel like that's, that is the boundaries that needs to be made. If you can have boundaries where nobody walks all over you, then it is what it is. Then nobody will do this to you again. You won't feel like you lost something in the process. I don't feel like, you're always going to run into somebody that's a little difficult to work with. But laying down the law, taking action on what you feel was incorrectly handled, whatever you feel that was not right to be handled in the first place, yeah, then you can start, contemplating where you can be. Commitment, stability, support. You got to make sure that you protect the house first, right? And it's very interesting that the Ten of Pentacles comes up because it's all about commitment. It's about the legacy and things like that and security. Underneath that is the Three of Wands. You've been waiting a long time, and now you got this Ten of Pentacles here. But is it truly really that stable if this happens in it?